So, if you're buying or even selling a home here in Ocala, Florida right now, you're probably familiar with the term as is, because a whole lot of sellers are asking right now for as is contracts only. And I've noticed that there is some confusion on the part of both buyers and sellers as to what it actually means to buy a home as is. So today, we're going to explore the Florida as is contract for sale. Hi there, I'm Stephanie Frost, and I'm a real estate agent in Ocala, Florida. And this is my channel where I talk about all things real estate in the Ocala and Marion County, Florida area. Like I said, the as-is contract isn't exactly what a lot of people think it is. And I totally get the confusion, because we're all familiar with the term as-is, right? As in, take it or leave it, buyer beware, that kind of thing. But that's not exactly what it means when you're buying a home. Now, realtors get to choose from a set of standard contracts for all real estate transactions. Those contracts have been written up and gone over with a fine-tooth comb by both real estate and legal professionals in order to figure out and cover any eventuality that might come up in a real estate transaction. Every couple of years, they get together again and they go over any new issues that have cropped up that need to be addressed, and they change the contracts accordingly. Gives them something to do. The one big exception to this is when you're buying a new construction home, and then your contract will be written by the builder and their legal team. But that is not today's topic. Today we're just talking about the standard as-is residential contract for sale and purchase. Now, right off the bat, there are two big misconceptions about buying as-is that I hear at least once a week. The first one that I get is that if a seller is selling as-is, there must be issues with the home. Otherwise, why sell as-is? Well, usually it's because the seller doesn't want to do any repairs or actually can't afford to do any repairs prior to closing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the house is a wreck. It just means that the seller wants to have a clear idea of exactly how much money they're going to get from the sale of their home and not have to worry about very much in the way of repairs and what they'd cost. You see, by Florida law, a seller has to disclose any material defects that they're aware of in the home that are not readily visible and would materially affect the value. So if the seller knows that the roof leaks or the electrical box shorts out on a regular basis or the house has lead-based paint, they have to disclose those things to a potential buyer. It doesn't have to be in writing, although it's a very good idea, but they do have to disclose it somehow. Now, some sellers sell their home as is because they actually have no idea what the home needs as far as repairs. Sometimes the home was inherited as part of an estate and the seller's never even been inside the home. And I've actually had a tremendous number of sellers who had perfectly maintained homes that were just immaculate, didn't need a thing done to them that they wanted to sell as is. Not because there were any defects, they just wanted a firm bottom line before they agreed to take the home off the market by going under contract. They knew that they'd probably get multiple offers, and they wanted to be sure that all the buyers trying to win the bid would stand by their offer and not bid really high just to win and then turn around and try and renegotiate after the fact based on inspections. Because that is the second misconception about buying a home as is. You're actually buying the home as is subject to inspection, unless you agree to waive your right to inspection, which isn't something I'd recommend. And subject to inspection means that you can have any inspections that you want done as long as you do them during your inspection period. And if you find any issues with the home that would cause you to want to cancel, you get to walk away from the deal and you get your escrow deposit back. Again, as long as you notified the seller before the end of your inspection period. Now, a lot of buyers will use this clause to ask the seller to lower the price based on what they find on inspection, or even to ask them to do the needed repairs. But the seller is not obligated to do either one of those things. The only thing the seller is obligated to do is to allow the buyer to cancel and then return their deposit. Now, that said, sometimes it's in the seller's best interest to go ahead and either lower the sales price or agree to do some repairs. Because again, in Florida, a seller has to disclose any known defects that materially affect the home's value. So if the inspection report turns up a major issue like a leaky roof or termite damage, then the seller is going to have to tell any future potential buyers about those issues too, because now they know about them. So rather than cancel the contract and start over with a new buyer who's probably going to offer less for the home because of the issues, many sellers are just going to opt for the bird in hand and negotiate. But don't get greedy and start asking for a lot of little things like new mirrors in the bathroom or new carpet in the bedrooms. That'll just get you started on your next home search, because the seller is going to tell you to pack up and head out. Now, there are some other important points to remember when buying or selling a house as is. One is the type of financing being used to purchase the home. Certain types of financing require that the home meets certain minimum property requirements. For instance, if the buyer is planning to use FHA or USD or VA financing, then the home would have to have a roof that is free of leaks and has at least 2 or 3 years of usable life left on it, and the home has to be considered in habitable condition, with a structurally sound foundation, adequate heating system, no exposed wires in the electrical box, along with a few other things. So if you're buying a home with any of these types of financing, you probably want to avoid offering to buy as is if you already know that the home has any of those issues. You'll just be wasting your precious time along with any money that you spend on a home inspection. And as a seller, if you're selling as is because your home does need serious repairs and you get an offer from a buyer that has VA, FHA, or USD financing listed as the type of financing, you probably want to pass on that offer, because the odds of making it all the way to a successful closing are slim to none. Now, I already said that I do not recommend buying a home without a home inspection, unless you're experienced in home repair and construction and have pretty deep pockets to boot. But if you ever do run across a home for sale where the seller absolutely refuses to allow any inspections, run. Don't walk on to the next home. Because if a seller absolutely refuses to allow you to even have a home inspection, it usually means one of two things. A, either the seller knows that there's something seriously wrong with the home and they're trying to hide it, or B, they suspect that there may be something seriously wrong with the home and they don't want to confirm anything that they'd have to disclose to future buyers. So there you go. Hopefully I've answered all your questions about buying or selling a home as is here in Ocala. Because buying as is can be a great option, as long as you understand what you're getting into and how it works. And if you've got any other questions about buying or selling as is, or any other questions about Ocala real estate or the market in general, just drop them in the comments below, or better yet, get in touch and I'll answer as best I can. So until next time, take care.